Good morning, guys. Hi there, I'm Lori Winslow from Rain or Shine Chalk Design. I'm an independent designer with Chalk Couture. But this morning we're not going to use any chalk. We are going to make a sunflower. So I don't know if any of you have made a sunflower wreath before. I have not. It's something I've always seen, and sunflower is definitely one of my favorite flowers. But I wanted to give this project a try. So I started with one of these wreath forms. You can get these at the Dollar Tree. This is a little larger than what they recommended for this project. They recommended a 10-inch wreath, and this is a 14-inch. So I'm hoping I have enough materials to cover the 14. I have a little extra, so I'll let you know exactly how much I'm using for the 14-inch. So if you haven't used one of these wreaths before, the most important thing to see is that there are 4 different wires, and so we're going to treat the wires like an outside pair, the inside pair, and the most inside pair. So the outside, the middle, and the inside. So that's how we'll talk about those wires so that you know what I'm doing when I'm doing it. So I went ahead and put on some of my pipe cleaners so that it would take me a little less time. We're going to start off with our green squares. The first thing you do is cut your burlap. So I have green burlap that I'm working with for the leaves, and I have yellow burlap that I'm using for the petals. I bought this, and you could use rolls of burlap, but I bought this as fabric. So cut 12-inch squares, 12 by 12. Those are the dimensions that my instructions showed me. So that's what I'm doing. And I have put 4 sets of pipe cleaners on the outside edge. So these outside pair, I put 4 of those. 1, and I've spread them out kind of equally. 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to go ahead and put the leaves. Now I know these don't look much like leaves at the moment, but they will take on more of a leaf shape once the petals are around them. Well, what we should do first, the middle I guess is the most tricky section, so that'll be fun to do. I'm saying fun sarcastically. But they recommend that you get this canvas. It's for different kinds of needlework. It's kind of a flexible but rigid canvas. And I put that in the middle of my wreath, and I just drew a pattern around the middle so that I can basically cover it and then lash it to the wire. All right, so do that first. And I have that ready to go when we're ready for that step. All right, let me show you how to fold. You fold the leaves and you fold, good morning, Lisa. You fold the leaves and you fold the sunflower petals exactly the same way. So I'm going to take my square and I'm going to put the two of the corners to the middle. That's a square, so it doesn't matter which ones. And then you're going to pull these edges into the center, and then you're just gonna kind of squash it together like we would a ribbon. Nice to see you this morning, Lisa. Glad you could join us. My sister joining us. So my question of the day is, what is your favorite flower? So sunflowers are one of my favorites. What is your favorite flower? Do you have a favorite flower? All right, so there's 2 of my leaves. Again, they don't look much like leaves right now, but they will give the effect of leaves. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Lisa. I wasn't being very incognito, was I? I don't have a sister. What sister? So fold to the middle. just overlap those tips and then fold those edges to the middle and then squash together. So when you look at it like that, you kind of can see it's a little bit of a leaf shape, and you want this part showing. It would be kind of boring on the back. So I'm going to turn my wreath this way. They did have these forms at Hobby Lobby, but I knew they also had them at Dollar Tree, so I got mine at Dollar Tree. They weren't a lot more at Hobby Lobby. They were, I think, they didn't have the 10-inch either. I was looking for the 10-inch form. But they were, I think Hobby Lobbies were like $3.99, but $1 is a better deal. And there really is no difference to me in the form. All right, so again, fold to the middle. And just roll that to the middle, and then just squish it together. And I pull those pretty tightly with the pipe cleaner because I want them to have a nice tight hold. This is not going to go inside, this is going to go outside. Which shouldn't hurt anything. The burlap should be fine. There's really nothing on this wreath that should hurt. Alright, now we're ready to do our yellow. So I've finished putting things on the outside too. So there's there are 4 different wires, and I use the outside wires for my leaves. Now I'm going to start with the petals, and I'm going to go to the inside, the middle pair, and then we'll go to the inside pair. So we're going to do our leaves, our petals, just like we did the leaves. Again, these are 12-inch squares, so very, very simple project. Again, I'm going to do the same thing, just squish it up. And now I'm going to, like I said, this is a 14-inch wreath. The pattern I used called for a 10-inch wreath, but I could not find a 10-inch wreath anywhere. So I have a little extra materials, and I think we'll just improvise. Now we will trim off these pipe cleaners. I guess I could do that as I go. That will save me another step later. So I'm just going to snip them close. Pretty much everything on the bottom layer should be hidden, or we can fuss with it so that it is hidden. And I'm going to save these little chenille stems. I might be able to use them as I'm crafting later. I am going to put those little pokey points. I'm going to push those down so that if somebody walks next to this, they don't get bitten by those. If you wanted to add some kind of sign, if you had a cute sunflower sign of some sort, you could leave some of those pipe cleaners and you could attach with those edges. But I'm not going to do anything. I just want the sunflower to speak for itself. Okay, so very simply, we're just going to keep doing this. Keep it going. Squish, squish, squish. And we just want these to I've just spread these, so I have 4, I should tell you that I have 4 for the leaves, and right now I have 8 there will be 8 petals on the middle 2, and then there will be 8 more on the inside. So that's the plan right now. That's how much fabric. I did buy 2 yards of the yellow burlap. So the yellow burlap gave me 20 12-inch squares. So hopefully that's enough to cover this 14-inch frame. If it's not, I will go back and get a little bit more so that I can make it nice and full. But we'll see how that goes. Cover to the middle and squish. It's nice that it's not an exacting craft. It's a pretty loose and easy craft. Again, this is something that I've seen for a long time and thought would be fun to make. So I seem to be getting those projects out of the way this week, which is kind of cool. And when I say out of the way, I just mean off my mind. I don't know if any of you are like that. Like when I have something that I want to do or that I need to do, it just kind of stays on my mind until I finally get it done. And I'm even that way with craft ideas, I'm finding. Okay, so I keep turning, trim off these chenilles on the leaves. So if you're checking in this morning, make sure you say hi so I know you're here. I like being able to say hi. Tell me where you're watching from. Some people are locals and some people watch from all over. Alright, so I'm going to take another pair in, fold it in. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Normally we do Chalk Couture. I am a Chalk Couture independent designer. And basically what that means was, for me, I had been watching Chalk Couture videos for a while and really enjoyed the process, watching the process, so I wanted to try it. And finally got up the nerve to try it, and then I let it sit. I was scared and intimidated by trying. Then I did try it, was totally hooked, and decided, man, I could really save a lot of money if I just hopped on that designer bandwagon. You do save 40% when you declare yourself a designer or a hobbyist. So what happens and what you have to do to become a designer, you basically order the designer kit, which is $100. But for $100, you get 5 containers of paste. That's already almost $100 right there by the time you do shipping. You get a bunch of transfers, and they're the newest transfers. You are part of Club Couture, so you get the monthly Club Couture each month. And then you have access to all the designer things. So if you want to make it a business, you can. If you just really enjoy doing the crafting, you could do that too. You don't have to do Facebook Lives or anything else. Some people just do workshops for their friends, maybe for their church, and they can make a little bit of money on the side with those things, and they're happy with that. Some people don't sell at all, and I call them hobbyists. They just, they like to have access to the discount, and basically to stay a designer, you have to sell or purchase $150 in 3 months. So for myself, I easily spend $50 a month on products because I like having new things to use on my lives. Even when I was just purchasing for myself for fun, you know, I was probably spending $50. So, and you could also sell to a friend. Find somebody else who likes doing chalking with you, and it's not difficult to find someone who will share that love of Chalk Couture with you. If you want to build a business, the awesome thing is it is a company that supports small business. They have trainings available online, so that you can read about how to do this. Everything I've done on Facebook has been because of what I've read and what I've been taught. I haven't had to come up with, you know, strategies myself. They have been super supportive, helping me learn how to do an online business, because normally this would be a business that I could do not online if we weren't having this, you know, time where we can't get together. I would be having workshops and having people get together, and that's how I would be trying to get sales. I would be asking friends to come over and do these projects, and they just pay a small fee to cover their supplies, that kind of thing. But since we can't do that, we've kind of had to shift and make a little different strategy. And so now I've kind of done a totally online strategy, and it's been interesting and fun to kind of learn the business. Over the summer, I'm a teacher, so I've been able to spend some time playing around with this, figuring it out over the summer while I don't have work responsibilities. Alright, so we're just going to keep going around. Alright, I can't really tell yet if I'm going to need more fabric or not. You can see that they're pretty full. And they're going to overlap each other, so they're going to be pretty puffy. And then we'll have one more layer on the inside. Can you see? Yeah, can't really see it yet. And I might need some more fabric. It was unfortunate that I could not find a 10-inch frame anywhere. But if it looks like we're going to need a lot more fabric, I will grab it today, and I will show you the finished product this afternoon when I get it pulled together. So if you have a favorite flower, I would love for you to comment. Tell me what your favorite flower is. So I do love sunflowers. The other flower I love are peonies or peonies. I don't know how you actually are supposed to say it. My daughter had fresh peonies at her wedding, and oh my goodness, I don't think I had ever encountered that flower before. And I'm not a huge flower person, but wow, those were gorgeous. Just layer upon layer of petals. Okay, so this is kind of how it looks at the moment. It's going to look a lot more full when we add to the center, but you can kind of see where we're going. Let's see, I think I've got more than that. I've got more. I thought I only had 8. I might have 12. Oh, I would have 12 pieces. So I have 12 more pieces. So we're going to make this more full in the center. Wonder if I should have made that more full down here. Let's see. If I've got 12 more, why don't we scoot couple of these over. I'm going to scoot a couple over and make this bottom layer a little more full. Nothing like working on the fly. So I just take my chenille stem and I'm going on the middle two wires, and I'm just twisting it really nice and tight. I don't want it to be slipping and sliding around. I want it to be pretty firm. I'm going to the center and rolling together and doing a squish. So I'll do one here, and I think I'll do one over there. That looks more full. That to me looks more like it's supposed to be looking in my mind. So I did look this up on Pinterest. Found a cute one that I liked the looks of, and kind of checked it out. Played around with my materials a little bit to see if I thought it was doable, and it seemed pretty doable. Alright, so that gives us 9 around. I'm going to add one more piece over here. That would give us 10 on the bottom layer, and that would give us 10 on the outside layer, or middle layer, and then 10 on the inside layer. So let's try that. To me, sunflowers are just a happy flower. Yellow is my favorite color, so I really like this bright, happy yellow flower. So I'm really thinking I want this flower to go out on our garden tool shed. I put out another piece from earlier this week with a watering can, and it looks really cute out there. My husband was really shocked that I was decorating this old tool shed that's been here on the property for a long time. He wasn't upset, he was just surprised. That's what I wanted to do. Okay, that looks better. A little more fluff. You can see it's starting to, they're fluffing up a little better. All right, well, let's get some more of these and we'll start putting them together. So now I'm going to the inside layer. So there's 4 wires. So you're going to, your pipe cleaners are going to be working on 2 wires at a time. So you don't want to just hook them to one wire, because then your wire would slide up and down. You'd be able to easily slide it back and forth. But when it's on 2 wires connected tightly, can you guys see that? When it's connected snugly on 2, it doesn't move as easily. It can move a little if you push it hard. But you want it to be on there nice and firm. All right. So this is not complicated, as you can see. Not complicated at all. And that's what I'm kind of finding with these wreaths that I was kind of intimidated by, thinking, oh, I don't think I could do that. That seems too difficult. Most of these craft projects are not that difficult. Now I may wish I had gone with yellow pipe cleaners. Not sure. The directions said that these tan would be fine. So we'll see. We'll see in the end how we feel about that color. Well, I can already see it's getting really poofy now. Now that we're adding this next layer, we're getting a lot more fullness from the flower. Yeah, I think that's gonna do it. All right, and I have 10 of these, so I'm gonna go ahead and let's see. So 1, 2. Yeah, I think I can pretty much do every other. So you just have to kind of play around with your spacing. Pretty much doing every other space in between, spacing them in between. Morning, Amy. Nice to see you. Glad you're here this morning. We are making a sunflower wreath. Something I've always wanted to do and never taken the time to figure out how to do it. So very simple 12 by 12 muslin, or not muslin, yeah, that word, burlap. A burlap square. Fold the tips to the middle, 2 of the corners, and then just fold into the middle and then just squish. And you're just making a big flower petal looking thing, and you do the leaves exactly the same way. We put on 4 leaves. So for the fabric for the leaves, just used 4 12-inch squares, which the burlap that I got was 48 inches wide. So basically you just needed 1 foot of that burlap, which would be 1/3 of a yard. 1/3 of the yard for the green. I got 2 yards of the yellow, and this is for a 14-inch form. They recommended using a 10-inch form, which I could not find, and with a 10-inch form, they said that if you had 2 yards of yellow, you would have some yellow left over. I'm not going to have any yellow left over because I used the 14-inch. And on the 10-inch, they only put 3 leaves. I think I probably would have put more leaves, but it looked pretty, it didn't look very, it did not look very full. The leaves, I didn't think you could really see it. So I would have done that differently, but that's the great thing about crafts. You can do it the way you like it. So on these forms, you have 4 wires. So as you're working on it, your leaves are going to attach to the outside 2. Your first row of petals are going to attach to the inside 2 wires. And then your most middle that we're working on right now are going to be on these inside 2 pieces. And as you can see, this is one of my middle inside pieces that I'm doing right now, and it's connected to these 2, and I just have the chenille stems poking up like that. I know it's hard to see now that we've gotten into the center, so I wanted to show you again. So again, you just put those 2 across each other like that. Oh yeah, this burlap gets all over you too. Be prepared for that. Has a lot of fibers. Okay, and then I'm just going to squish those in and push them down. I want them to be nice and tight and secure. And it's okay if they squish down just a little bit. They're still going to be plenty puffy. If you're just joining us, my question of the day is, what's your favorite flower? If you have a favorite flower, tell us in the comments. I'd love to know what your favorite flower is. Sunflowers are one of my favorites. And peonies are another favorite. I just think they have such beautiful blooms. All right, and I am just spacing these out as I go. I can't go back in and add more. So this is a very fun wreath to make. I am kind of dabbling in wreath making right now. I made a really simple tulip wreath this spring. It was not something that I put on, it was before I was doing my lives, but it was very simple. Bought my tulips at Walmart, and I think the wreath I already had. It was just a grapevine wreath, and I watched a little tutorial, and they just followed the all the way around the wreath and just put in the tulips kind of as you went around the wreath. The tulips were all going the same direction. It was super simple, but it turned out really pretty, even though I was using, you know, the Walmart flowers, which to me don't look nearly as pretty as some flowers, some other store flowers, but it just was so simple and pretty. I was very tickled with it. So I think crafters can get intimidated by projects, and sometimes we have to. Sometimes we have to understand that some crafting is very much skill-based. Every craft requires some skills, and some require more. So I'm not going to declare myself a wreath maker yet, but I am dabbling and enjoying some of the easier wreaths. Looking forward to all these fun fall and winter projects, Christmas. I don't do a lot of Halloween. I just kind of like the fall decorating. But I know a lot of people love Halloween and love going all out for those decorations. So I'm just pushing down after I cut off those long chenille stems. I'm just going back and pushing them down. That little wire I don't want to pop up. Okay, so I've got how many pieces left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Holy cow. I definitely should have been putting some more in there. Somehow my yellow, I think, multiplied. My yellow pieces multiplied during the night or something. I'm going to start putting these a little closer together. So we want this to be nice and full. That's one of the beauties of a sunflower, is how full the petals look. They just look like they're bursting with color. And so that's how we want ours to look. So as you can see, I'm just folding those over, squishing them in. That's definitely very, very easy. Anybody can do that. And then just pushing it to the middle and tying it down. giving it a few twists so it's nice and secured. I'm using some pliers that have a wire cutter edge. I don't want to use my scissors to cut these chenille stems. It will definitely damage my scissors. So grab a tool out of the garage or get a pair of wire clippers, or just most pliers have an area with a sharp edge made for wire. So if you haven't used tools very much, you see right there when you go all the way down to the base of the mouth of the pliers, that's a wire snipping tool on that edge. This side you can see that when you go all the way to the middle of the plier, all the way at the back, you can see how those go together. If you haven't used pliers that much, you might not know that. All right, well, it's getting bushy in here. These flower is getting bushier and bushier, which I'm glad for. That's the look I'm going for. Now the center is the tricky part from what I understand, and there are different ways. I watched different videos, different people handled it different ways. So I watched, there was one that I kind of liked the look of, and so that's the one I'm going with. But if you look on Pinterest and look up sunflower wreath, you can find several different tutorials. If anybody's interested in having the directions, if you want to just put I'd like directions, if you want to write that at the bottom, I'd be happy to send you the link that I used. I don't know the person who did it. I just thought they did a good job explaining how to do it. And since I'm a teacher, I like to learn from directions. So definitely want to share when somebody does a good job explaining something like this. Amy, you say tulips and daisies. Oh, you can't go wrong with tulips and daisies. Such sweet flowers. I need to plant some tulips. I think that would be a great thing to do this fall. Or do you plant them in the fall, or do you only plant them in the spring? Seems like I remember people maybe digging up bulbs in the fall. I'm just kind of getting into gardening too, and right now we're not really doing flowers. Right now we're just working on veggies and some fruits. That has been a very fun project this spring, since I was teaching from home. You can plant in the fall. Awesome. Thanks, Amy. I was thinking that was a possibility. And then you just plant them in the fall and then they come up in the spring. So, cool. That might be a fun thing to do. So, we have a 3,500 square foot garden, which is a lot for the first time that you've planted a garden in many years. That's what we did. We went whole hog. We have a good sized property and have plenty of space. My husband and his first wife had planted that size of garden many years when they had kids at home. So he had done that many times, but of course it had been quite a few years since he had done it, and I had only had a little garden. I always had strawberries and zucchini and things like that in a really small garden plot. Growing up in Oklahoma, not every year, but for several summers, my parents had a garden, and I remember just loving the garden and being fascinated with growing things. Being a teacher, one of the things I did with my class, since we ended the year, that's what it looks like when you squeeze it together. Since the end of the year, we ended up not being together in person. As I was working in my garden and starting my garden, I shared it with my students. And so at one point, I sent all of them seeds. And I didn't tell them what the seeds were. I just put them in a bag, and then I put online all the little packets with the seeds that matched, so they had to match their seed to see what they received. And then I invited them to plant their seeds and grow something and try something new. And I've had several pictures sent to me of my students and their plants that they grew, and there's just something magical about putting a seed in the ground and having it return food for your plate. And if you haven't done that in a long time, I challenge you to try it. It has brought me so much joy during this time of crazy uncertainty. And I mean crazy uncertainty just in the fact that feels like something different every week that is crazy in our world. I have a faith and I have a hope, so I don't feel consumed by the crazy, but my mind says this is crazy. So anyway, if you haven't planted something, you should do it. Hi Christy, glad you're here this morning. Thanks for joining in. Sunflower, daffodils, peony, and daisy. Oh, love all of those flowers. Love, love, love. So it's been fun to see my garden grow and just to see the wildlife that's really shown up in our yard. I was out the other day gathering the zucchini and the squash and looking at I have green beans that are starting to grow, yay. And while I was sitting there, or not sitting there, while I was standing there gathering, I saw some birds flitting around, and there were 4 birds who got on our broccoli plants that have gone to seed, and we've just left them. And they were pecking at the flowers, and it was amazing. They were perched, the broccoli plants aren't that sturdy, but they were just perched on the little limbs of those plants, and it was just glorious to see how those birds were able to perch like that, and they flitted around with each other. I was mesmerized. Maybe I'm easily mesmerized. It wouldn't be surprising to me. Okay, so this is starting to take shape. You can see how the green leaves just kind of are tucked in here and there. They are definitely the backdrop. They're not in the foreground. I think I can probably add a few more, but I think we'll tackle that middle to show you how to do that. Keep your fingers crossed that I can actually make this work. So again, I traced the inside of my wreath because I want my middle to have something to attach to. So I'm just going to go around, and this is a piece of canvas that you use for different kind of needlework type projects. And I did find this at Hobby Lobby. I know this is at all the craft stores. That's just where I was. So I got it there. I'm going to do some other projects with this canvas. So you'll have a... Oh, you're growing corn. Awesome. I'm growing corn too. Oh my goodness. My cornfield is so humongous. And yes, it is so much fun to watch grow. I am totally with you on that, Amy. Good. I'm so glad to hear that other people are growing things this year. That's the way I feel, Amy. I go out and my husband laughs at me because I'm just like a little kid. I'm just like, oh, this is growing. Oh, this is growing. And he just laughs. He's like, yes, that's kind of why we planted it, so it would grow. He's a very engineering type, but he enjoys my childlike wonder too, I think. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have this burlap, and this is just a roll of burlap. Regular, I think it's like about 6 inches, 5.5 inches or so. Not the narrow, but the wider. You could do it probably with the narrow too, but mine's wider. So I'm going to scrunch up this end because I need a way to attach it to this center. You could also use a different color for the center. There were several people who used the really dark brown for their center, and that's perfectly legitimate. I just liked this lighter color, and I couldn't find the darker color, to tell you the truth. I did kind of like that dark color. So I'm just going to use these holes, and I'm going to use my chenille stem, and I'm just going to poke that in so that I can secure this piece of my burlap. If something doesn't make sense, just leave a question and I will try to share what I did and how I did it. So I've got that attached. I'm just going to give it one little twist, and I'm going to leave my pipe cleaner ends so that I can attach it now. So the edge of this is going to attach right to the center of my wire wreath. So it's going to give me a nice anchor point. Okay, so I'm just untwisting my ribbon here, my burlap. So what I'm going to try to do, and this is the part where it just looks kind of messy and you just kind of have to go with it. I am just going to run my burlap this way and around the bottom. And it's exactly what the gal said when she was sharing how to make it. She said it just looks awful until you get it all together. She said, you know, don't worry about it. There's not a lot of ways to make this center part. It's going to look a little clunky and lunky, and you're just going to have to kind of work it. So I'm going to squeeze mine together. So I like these little puckers that can be made. I think that looks kind of nice. So I've got that one. I'm going to squish this up here. This might have to be this might have to be completed off camera. I'm not sure. I find it really difficult to do some of these things, trying to get it done in a reasonable amount of time for the camera. But as you can see, we're just going to kind of, you actually have to kind of fold that. I can't have it to be a big open, flat open piece. So if you're hopping on and you're like, hey, I came on here to watch Chalk Couture, grab another video. There's lots of videos. If you go to the top of my page, you'll see where it says videos, and you can watch lots of old videos of Chalk Couture, and I will do lots of Chalk Couture projects. I just also like to do some other things. I like doing different crafts, not all exactly the same, and sometimes I get tired of doing chalk on a surface. Now, something like this would be cute to do some of our tags. we have those cute little tags, and it would be really cute to do the sunflower and then maybe chalk a tag to hang on it with a little quote or something like that. Okay, so I would say don't get too worried or stressed about how it looks. You're going to do some fluffing, you're going to do some preening, and then when you push it into the center, you're just going to get this kind of layered effect that I watched the video of the other gal doing it, and hers looked pretty crummy too. So when she got to this point. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab a chenille stem and I'm going to wrap it around the end and tighten it, because I don't want that to be falling apart. I can even take some chenille stems and tie this down to the edges, but I think I will do that as I go around the edge. I think I will grab a little piece of this and tie it to my my wired edge. Okay, so now I have kind of a circle that has these ridges, and I like that it's going to be ridged like that. Now I'm going to work this down. When I saw them working it from the front, I thought, wouldn't it be easier to do it from the back? And maybe it would, but I think the idea is to let these pieces fold back so the middle is kind of puffing out. So I'm just following what their demonstration was, basically, because they've done it more than once, and this is my first try. So I'm working on the back here to try to find my chenille stem that's hooked to the edge. I'm just going to, again, I'm going to go around 2 of the wires instead of just 1. I don't want it to be easy to slip and slide around. I think that was a good tip. And as I've been working with it, I can see that they're correct. If you just tied it to 1 of your wires on the frame, you definitely would not be able to have that hooked together. Good morning, Aman. Glad you're here this morning. Okay, so I'm just going to pull this. I can definitely tell this is going to take some fluffing and some zhuzhing and some playing around with. So I don't think I'm going to spend a long time doing this with you guys watching. I think it's just going to be, I don't think you guys can see a lot and get a lot out of that. But basically, I think you can tell what I'm going to have to do. I'm just going to have to add chenille stems going around this little circle and then tie it up with my chenille stems. And I can tell that my little circle is going to fit nicely. I just want to make sure I'm getting my edges pulled up. I think I made my circle a little bit bigger. We'll see if that's a good thing or a bad thing as I'm going along. So let's see where we're at. I know there's parts that aren't pushed out, but you're getting the idea of how that sunflower is going to look. It's going to need a lot of pushing and pulling of these petals, but I think you can see you get kind of a, it's almost too big for the camera, isn't it? But you get a nice full wreath. I think it'll look really cute. Like I said, I want to put it out on my tool shed. I think it'd be pretty on a front door, anywhere that you want to have a big punch of color. This yellow, and the leaves are back here. I want those to pull out a little bit more. Thank you. I think it can definitely be a really cute accent. I don't think it would have to be outside. I don't think it would have to be on your door. It's really pretty cute. So I hope you give it a try. If you have any questions, again, I will definitely link the directions of how the Pinterest page that I saw this on. If you want to do one similar to this. If you make something that we make on the show, make sure that you show us a picture. I've been so excited to see on the VIP group people showing what they're making. And it doesn't have to be a Chalk Couture project. If you do a different craft project, or if you do something in your home that you want to share, we would love to see it. I want this to be a community where you guys can share with each other. I don't think all the ideas have to come from me. I'd love to see your ideas. It doesn't have to be something we're doing. Really, I would like the VIP group especially to be a place where you can come in and get ideas and share ideas. That would be a lot of fun. All right, guys, that's it for today. I will post a picture of this all finished, hopefully out on the tool shed, and you guys can take a look and see if you want to add a little sunflower in your part of your house. Make sure you make it a great day, guys. Get out there and be good to each other. Bye-bye.